Well, welcome everyone. You've joined today because you are interested in learning some natural tools and tips to help you deal with stress, anxiety, overwhelm, all of those extra feelings that we get. Maybe it's something at work, maybe it's something at home, maybe it's a combination, maybe it's situational. It doesn't matter. But the reality is we really just can't get away from it. And we need to have extra tools in our toolbox, help manage them more effectively and to just have those extra tools when things get tough and one thing's working, to not just have one thing that you're going to do. So I'm going to share my screen, give you hopefully some helpful information to get you through those tough days and help you out. All right, so a little bit about me to begin with. If you don't know who I am, Amanda Rahija, and you can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram. I'm the only one. So I do a ton of educating, and one of my specialty areas is stress, anxiety, overwhelm, managing our emotional well-being and mental wellness. So the background in social work, my tools that I was taught over my years of schooling and then over 20 years working in the field just about how, I mean, honestly, as a social worker, it was like, and working in child and youth and working in with our children's aid societies and working with families, but mainly with children, we are one of the worst people to take care of ourselves. And I think women in general, but I'm not going to speak for all women. But we were taught about like burnout and how to manage stress effectively. And then either the job didn't allow us to do that, or we didn't advocate well enough for ourselves to get that time to just reduce some of the stressors that are going on. So you may be someone that works in a stressful job and, you're looking at it going, wow, I leave work and I just feel so overwhelmed. And then when I get home, I'm like irritated at everyone and everything, but it really has nothing to do with them. It has to do with what was going on during the day. For me, I actually didn't feel stressed, as crazy as that sounds, but I managed stress by working out, going for runs. I think I felt like just working in the field for as long as I did, I became numb to a lot of the things that were going on. Not that that's a good thing, but that's what happened. And so in 2008, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I had to do some deep down soul searching of like, what the heck? What happened? Why? I was healthy. I was in shape. I wasn't overweight. I really had no contributing factors. I do have the BRCA gene, which we found out, but none of my other family members have had breast cancer. And so, what in my body was going on that created this to grow faster or to just, show up? And the only thing that I could pinpoint was my stress, my cortisol levels, and my adrenals. And when I look at that and I think, wow, what was going on for the past 20 years of, working in this field and how I really didn't take care of myself as much as I thought. So I dove into that a lot and I learned a lot more about our bodies. And I mean, I already knew about our fight and flight response and our parasympathetic brain and how everything works, but I didn't really relate it to myself. And I think that's sometimes where we, go through life and we're maybe teaching other people about these tips and tools, but we forget about managing our own. And so I'm going to teach you some of the things that I've learned, some of the things that I've researched, and some of the things that I do personally. And they may work for you, they may not. But my general rule of thumb is these are like your first line of defense. These are your things that are your least intrusive things. Um, and they're supposed to be, and I've always believed you're just supposed to have this toolbox. And you should be able to pull multiple things out of that toolbox at different times. And at sometimes something's going to work, another time it's not going to work. And and then other times you might have to go up a level and you may have to go seek some integrative care or, from a holistic practitioner or medical care and look at that a little bit more seriously in terms of some things going on. So let's get right into it. I have this quote up on the wall just because I feel like it's such a reminder every day. So just because we're in a stressful situation doesn't mean we have to get stressed out. You may be in the storm. The key is don't let the storm get in you. And how many times can the world just be going on around us and we can get sucked in? And so the key is figuring out those ways to remove yourself so you can ground yourself and not feel so overwhelmed. All right, so I also give a free ebook. Feel free to scan this. There's some hacks, some tips and tools that are not shared in here, and some are shared in here, but you're going to have a chance to be able to have it ongoingly. And it'll talk about some of the products as well. All right, this I'm not going to go through entirely, but I want you just to realize some of the signs and symptoms your body shows when you're stressed. And our body is great at trying to tell us that something's wrong or something's not right. But we are not so great at paying attention. And sometimes we shrug it off. Sometimes we'll medicate for it. Sometimes we'll just think that it's something else is going on. The reality is that stress affects everything. So if we look at our skin, we look at acne, we look at psoriasis, we look at any different skin issues that are going on, there's something going on in terms of our stress levels. Typically in our gut, we have more serotonin in our gut than we do in our brain. And so our ability to just respond and all of that is diminished when our gut is off, hence the stomach. So if you've got any IBS, any digestive issues, or any things that go, I'm not quite feeling well, I'm feeling bloated often. Your pancreas, again, diabetes, your immune system, if you are someone that is struggling to recover from getting sick, not that you get sick, because we're all supposed to get sick once in a while, but that you recover to get, or you struggle to recover, and then you keep getting sick over and over with the same thing. This can end up being because you're stressed and overwhelmed. In terms of your head, this is more just about your mind, right? Like you get irritable fast. You're finding that you struggle to be happy. You don't find the joy in things anymore. You're having panic attacks. You're breathing, any of that. So your heart might increase, your heart rate. Think of when you're super stressed and you just can't get that deep breath. More severe would be heart attack and stroke. Your intestines, of course, you're not absorbing your nutrients as well because you're just trying to stay alive. But then you could put yourself more at risk for other things. This one I always say, let's face it, when you are overwhelmed, stressed, you're at your max, you do not feel like being intimate. So your reproductive system, your testosterone, your estrogen, all of your hormones get out of whack, especially if you're perimenopause or menopausal woman. Joints and muscles, so those aches and pains, those inflammatory things that are going on in your body, maybe some tightness in the shoulders. That's me. I carry a lot of my stress in my shoulders, so I will just be tense like that. And then I'm like, why is my neck sore? Yeah, because I was stressed all day long. Now I'm going to give you an example. So I want you to think, unless you are someone that like absolutely loves, the adrenaline rush of skydiving, but even if you do, I want you to think of being on the plane, you've got someone strapped to your back and you've been convinced to go skydiving and you're standing there looking down. And I want you to think of the stuff that goes on in your body. And so I want you to think of like, I know for myself, like I'd be sweating, my heart would be racing. Even though I went pee before I went up there, I would likely have to go pee again. You're probably thinking in your head, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, why did I do this? Um, in terms of just like your joints and muscles, you're definitely tense. Now, when you jump and you land on the ground and you're safe, within a little while, your adrenaline levels, your cortisol levels, your body comes back down out of that fight, flight, and freeze response into kind of just your normal level. And that's why people keep doing it over and over. But let's just pretend that you were stuck and you literally wouldn't jump. Now put yourself on the edge of that plane or on that plane for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, and let's, go even more extreme, a day. What do you think would happen to your body when it is that stressed out? That's what we do daily. If we don't actually bring our body back down, like jumping and getting to the bottom, we are consistently putting our body in that fight, flight, and freeze response, and our body doesn't know what to do. So these things start breaking down. And then when they start to just like show you the signs that they're breaking down, like you're sweating, you're breaking out a rash, your stomach, all of those things, and you ignore them, they start to show you the big signs. So, like cancer, heart disease, your autoimmune diseases, your respiratory, your reproductive diseases, all of those things you will start to see because your body literally can't handle it. Now, yes, that's an extreme condition, but I want you to think of even when you're driving your car and someone cuts you off You are either going to be the person that flips them the bird because you're in fight mode. You're going to be the person that like just drives away, or you might be the person that, has to pull over because they're so upset. All of those things happen, but our body then goes, okay, whew. Now, how long it takes your body to go, whew, depends on your coping mechanisms, right? What you do naturally, subconsciously in your body, and then what you do consciously. And so these things matter because if we're staying here and we're staying super stressed all the time and we're not coming out of that fight and flight mode, or we're coming down just a little bit, but not enough, what happens is our body wants to be in homeostasis. It wants to just regulate. Its main function is to be in homeostasis. If it's not, it's working to do that. So what happens when it can't get to that? It goes, well, I'm going to raise the level of normal. And so this stress that's going on around me, I'm not going to be as bothered by it anymore. I'm going to raise that level of normal so that just doesn't feel bad anymore. Now, it doesn't mean that the internal things aren't going on, but your body's just managing it better, quote unquote. I think that's what happened to me. And that's why I didn't feel stressed. And that's why my body kept showing me. If I looked at this back, 16 years ago, I'd be like, maybe I should have listened to a couple of these factors. But I didn't. And so I'm here today to share so that way people can start to look at some of these things and go, oh, I might want to manage this a little bit better because I don't want to have some of these more chronic issues happen. So let's get into that. Now, here's 10 tips. I mean, when we look at these in general, some of them you're gonna be like, Amanda, I know this. But again, we want that major toolbox that we can just keep pulling them out. And so one of them is a positive support network. I mean, the reality is if you're surrounding yourself with people that are always talking about negatives, that are, doing things that are, something that irritates you, or they're always watching the news and they're, hashing out all the negative stuff, you probably don't want to be around them. That's just going to drag you down. So find that positive support network. Find people that raise you up, raise up your vibration, make you laugh, make you smile. That's the type of people you want to surround yourself with, especially if your job and your life is super stressful. You don't need to have a social group outside of those things that also causes you stress. Reframe your thoughts about work and even about life, but like about work, um, is just really finding the joy, grounding yourself and looking at what do I like? Because let's face it, no one wants to work. I mean, I love my job, but sure, I would love to be on vacation all the time. So what are the things that are going to set you up for success? And what are the things that bring you joy so you can keep reflecting on those? Definitely that work-life balance. Take a break, shut off your phone, have your date night with your spouse, with your kids, with your pets. Make sure that you're finding that balance so you're not overworking yourself. Meditation, prayer, um, whatever you want to call kind of that time and space away. And so I struggled with this, and I'll be honest, it was something that I was like, I can't sit and meditate. I would listen to a guided meditation and my mind would go all swirly. And while I was going through cancer treatments, one of the cancer centers here had a Qigong free program for cancer patients and their families. And so my husband was like, this would be a really good idea. I rolled my eyes and I kind of laughed, but to humor him, I went and my mom came with because I'm like, if I have to go, you guys are coming too. And my very first session, I struggled. It was an hour long. And all I could do was kind of hear people breathing. I'm like, oh my God, I could be doing so many other things with this hour. And I just like, I'm going to be honest, I'm not proud to say this, but I just like didn't focus. And I was more focused on everything else or what I could be doing than actually doing the deep breathing. But when we got into the car after my husband gave me heck, um, I actually felt more relaxed, even though I didn't even do it properly. So we went back for another 12 sessions, and I literally changed my perception in my life on finding those moments and times of just quiet and breathing. So I love a technique because, it is hard for some people. because I've got my dog on me, to find time or to make time or even just to like calm that squirrely brain. So 3 by 3 technique. 3 times a day, 3 minutes. If 3 minutes is too much, do 2 minutes. If 2 minutes is too much, do 1 minute. It doesn't matter as long as you're doing something. So, morning before your feet hit the ground. I actually use an essential oil called Balance. So I will ground myself with that oil, put on my hands, breathe it in, and then I will rub it on the bottom of my feet to just ground. During that time, I will do a quick gratitude, depending on how I woke up and how I felt, that's what I'll do. And then the important one that most of us miss is the midday one. So I used to do it when Kev would get home from work because I'd bring my crap from work, he'd bring his crap from work, and then like we'd be irritable at each other because of no reason. And so find that time during the day, transition time when things are just a little bit hectic and you're finding that you're overreacting to things, or maybe you've had a really stressful morning and you need that like reboot. So that time, again, it's really good to pair an essential oil with it because I'll share that a little bit more. And then at nighttime. So at nighttime, even if you fall asleep to it, it doesn't matter. I will use an oil. I'll use Balance again, typically. I might use Adaptive to just sort of ground, relax, and stress. And then just be grateful for the day. And I do what's called a brain dump. So I will actually write down everything that's on my brain. So it's not squirrely before I do it. And then anything that pops up, and then shut off my phone and put it away. So that is an amazing technique. It's free. You can go on YouTube and get like a 3 minute guided meditation. There's all kinds of free resources for that. So reevaluate your priorities, saying no, to things that just don't serve you. Take a break from technology, disconnect. You don't need to be on your phone or on your computer all the time. Nourish that creative side, like have fun. I feel like sometimes we get into adulthood and we forget how to play. And so finding those moments and times and space when you can get into that creative brain so your body can just relax, and then doing the reduced stress stuff and actually prioritize it. Getting plenty of good quality sleep. I mean, 8 to 10 hours of sleep is what you need for your body to get into that rest and restore state. So that way it can decompress, it can rejuvenate, it can restore, it can heal, it can do all of that stuff. And then it can be prepped for the next day when you know, crap hits the fan again. So, I teach a whole class on sleep, but just in general, you need to have some good quality sleep. Make movement a priority daily. Getting that movement in is going to set yourself up to release stress, but also balance it with that calming, which is what I wasn't doing. So, something like yoga, but not like a hot yoga, more like a restorative, relaxing yoga. Nutrition and supplements. So, really looking at foundational health. When we look at our gut and that we have more serotonin in the gut, and when we look at the way that our body responds when it's malnourished versus nourished, and the tons of studies that have been done on our body's response when we are hungry or malnourished or not in the right state in terms of foundational health and our gut health, it is so important. And I teach a whole other class on that, but know that those are some of the key things. Reducing toxic load on the body. So, while we're struggling in the day to manage all the things being thrown at us, if we are loading on toxins and chemicals, or we've got a candle going, or we've got air fresheners, or we've got excessive amounts of cleaning products and smells, those things interrupt all of the things on that first slide with the body. It makes your body struggle with those things as well. So we're like doing double on our body in terms of negativity. So if we can start to remove some of those things, then those toxins won't be as debilitating on our body, especially as females. Those toxins, especially like your air fresheners, your fabric softeners, your anything kind of scented, your perfumes are all hormone disruptors. When our hormones are off, our stress levels go up. That's why you call it the crazy hormonal or crazy PMS time. And when that goes out of balance, we struggle significantly. So when you can reduce that toxic load, Again, I give lots of tips and tricks on that. So if you want that separate, and then keep the immune system and adrenals working optimally. Because what the body will do is if it's run down, so I want you to think of like, you've been working hard, stressed out at work, and you book a week vacation and you get sick right the day, 2 days after you're off. Why? Because your body finally goes, thank you. I can take a break. I don't need to be on. The immune system's been hammering, 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 so you don't crash. But I can't do that forever. And so as soon as it gets that whew, lull, it goes, okay, well, this is what's really wrong. And here's all the things that are floating around you that shouldn't be, that we couldn't fight off, that we were just sort of pushing aside. So you survived. So doing those things, and I teach a whole class on immune system, but if you want tips, just ask. But doing those things to keep your immune system up will also help to reduce your stress. Now, one of the tools that I use, and I use many, so some of them are free, some of them are just like daily things, but one of the tools is aromatherapy and some doTERRA products. Now, essential oils are everywhere. Dollar store, Walmart, Amazon. No, they are not all created equally. Now, if you want to dive into that a little bit more, I can send you a video. But for me, two things really stand out when I was looking for an essential oil company that I wanted to use for my body after cancer. And one of them was about the testing and the purity. So doTERRA's essential oils are tested well beyond anything in the market. Their purity, we have some essential oils that is the only pure essential oil on the market. So like birch is the only pure birch oil on the market. Our lavender is pharmaceutical grade. We are in different hospitals all throughout the world doing clinical studies, being used in integrative care. That's what I wanted. I wanted someone to be able to look at the oils I was using and say, oh, I've heard of that brand, or I can look up that brand and look up some of the clinical studies that are done and see the quality because it's not all the same. So that was the first thing. The second thing was about education. I mean, let's face it, you buy something off the shelf and you have no idea really how to use it. You read the directions and they kind of don't even make sense sometimes. Or you saw it off Google or off YouTube, or TikTok gave you like do this tip and you did it and it doesn't work or you have questions. So community for me is important. I teach these classes all the time, and so does my team, because we know that we want to be able to give you value and education and resources and support when you purchase essential oils or doTERRA products. And that way you can feel confident to be able to ask questions and go through things. The thing that I didn't know I'd be interested in, and I could talk all about this, but is the sourcing and how we source and what we give back. And so if you want to look that up a little bit more, you can go into doTERRA Co-Impact Sourcing or doTERRA Healing Hands. But it's such a beautiful way to be able to help the people that source our oils from all over the world, mainly in third world countries, and bring those products to us as pure as they are and help them along the way. So that fills my heart. I can't do that on my own. So this is a way I get to make an impact. Okay, this is kind of the nuts and bolts of you may be thinking, well, okay, essential oils, what do they really do on the body, right? The strongest thing for emotion is smelling something. That's our aromatic. People will take, a diffuser or even an air freshener and be, kind of be like, oh, it's just to make the house smell nice. No, it doesn't. We actually smell with our brain, not with our nose. It is the fastest way to change our mood. So when you smell something, I want you to think about some smell that when you smell reminds you of something amazing, something that lights you up, makes you happy, reminds you of like someone you love. And typically, if I do this class live, all of a sudden I look around the room and everybody's smiling because as soon as we think of that smell, as soon as we smell that smell, boom, our brain goes, I'm going to transport you right back to that place. And I'm going to bring you that same emotion you felt and same feeling you felt when you were doing that. So I have some beautiful ones. Like I love the smell of clementines. At Christmas time, Santa would put clementines in our stocking, and we got to eat that before we opened up all of our presents. And my Christmas mornings were always just full of joy, full of happiness and family. Now, I'm not going to get you to think of a smell that triggers you or makes you feel a little uncomfortable, but we have those. And when I worked in the social work field, we talk about this as transference and countertransference. And if you think about it in this way, an old boyfriend, an old girlfriend, someone were fond of, wore a specific perfume or cologne. And then they were horrible to you, or they cheated on you, or whatever. Now, when you smell, that memory reminds you of them, and you're like, ew, I don't like them. And so that happens all the time. And that's subconsciously, we're not thinking about that. So when I worked in the field, we'd have to like not personalize it because someone would come to us and they would be nasty towards you. It had nothing to do with you. It was maybe the fabric softener that you use and their abuser used that, or someone that treated them poorly used that. And so all of these emotions are stored in our subconscious. And as they're stored there, our brain decides pain, or negativity or pleasure and happiness. That's it. There's no gray area. Now, the good thing is that we can actually shift this and change it really quickly. And so it is one of the things that we can train our brain, we can condition our brain to smell something and change how we felt before and how we feel now. So just know we're going to unlock that amygdala and we're going to be able to smell things and help. So that's why I actually say, and I train people to train your brain with the smell. That's why I do it during my 3x3 meditations of something I want to help me calm, because my brain's going to smell that smell and it's going to think how I felt in that time, which is relaxed and calm and good. And then I'm going to use that out in the community when I feel blah or anxious. And it's going to remind me of lying in bed and like getting ready to go to bed, or, saying my affirmations and gratitude. That's what it's going to do. Don't just smell it when you're anxious, because the opposite's going to happen. Now, we can also use things topically. And I call this a little bit more symptomatic. So, like if you're someone like me that clenches your shoulders or clenches your teeth when you're stressed, you can use something like deep blue on your neck to release that tension and just help soothe what's going on there. Or if you're someone that has that digestive issues, when you start feeling stressed, that you feel like you're going to throw up, that you feel nauseous, you can use something like Digest or Zengest on your belly or breathe that in, and that's going to help. Or topically, just in terms of balance and adaptive, to just be able to smell it in and putting it on your pulse points, to be able to just relax a little bit more. Then when we look at internal, so doTERRA's essential oils, majority of them are used or labeled for internal use. So like lavender, for example, if just breathing it in isn't cutting it and you want to reduce your stress, you can therapeutically take a dose of lavender and it can help. And studies have shown that it helps reduce your anxiety and stress. So a great way to be able to up that level of not just smelling it and adding to it. We also have different supplements that have essential oils in them and other ingredients to help calm the body and relax the body, which I'll talk about. So when we look at those, doTERRA's supplement line is the only supplement line in the entire world that has good quality essential oils in them, or essential oils at all. Now, I show this just as a mere kind of reflection of when we look at wellness, we need to start at the cellular level, which is nutrition and digestion, so your foundational health, and go upwards. Now, it's not always just like that. Think of a Jenga game, which is what I love to do, and it's like pulling a block out. So you overuse some cleaning products, you pull that block out. Didn't get a good night's sleep, therefore you're stressed at work, pull out a couple blocks. You didn't get any movement in because you sat at your desk all day. Pull out some of those blocks. And then you ate fast food, pull out those blocks. What's going to start to happen? That Jenga game's going to start to wobble. That tower's going to start to, get a little bit unlevel and it's going to fall. Well, that's your body. So we need to start sticking those blocks back in and keeping them there. And the base needs to be strong. So here's some of the tools that I love to be able to use. I've talked about some of them already, and in the ebook, some of them are there too. But we'll start on the right with Balance. So Balance is your grounding blend. It's a beautiful blend. Why I like the blends the best, you'll see in here, is because they're created with a multitude of different essential oils. So typically about 5 to 8 essential oils. Now your body gets to choose which one it needs right now. So if it doesn't need some of the copaiba that's in the adaptive, but it needs some of the lavender, great. It can use that. And so your body gets to decide which chemical constituents are going to be the highlight for your body at that time. The adaptive system, so we have the essential oil, and then you'll see right there, we've got the capsules, the dietary supplement. These are one of the supplements that I was telling you about. So it's got your essential oil blend in there, but then it has GABA, selectilum, and ahi flower. So my short form version and non-scientific version is this. I have used these adaptive capsules for myself, for other members of my family, but also for so many different clients, ranging from young children up until the elderly. It has helped people come off different anxiety medications because it helps to put the brakes on the brain. When we look at GABA and the studies on GABA and the way that it can be used to just help you be able to focus on one thing while the world's spinning around you is what you want. Now, yes, you need to have other tools in that toolbox to grab out while you're able to slow down, maybe do that deep breathing, but this is your ability to be able to just take that chill pill and relax. You can take this daily. You can take it twice a day, but I do also recommend, unless you're going through super stressful times, giving yourself a break and using other tools as well. Then we've got copaiba in the middle, and copaiba is like your natural CBD oil. And so it's legal everywhere. Number one. Number two, it also helps with pain and it helps the central nervous system to just chill. It's also an adaptive, so you're getting a little bit in there as well. Your Veviter is kind of this is what we call your ADHD, your calm that monkey brain. So you can roll that right on the base of your spine, your feet, your big toe is connected to your brain, and just helps to take a little bit of that monkey brain, crazy kind of everything's going on around you and refocus. And then I threw in here to sleep because if we're not sleeping or like we didn't fall asleep yet, now we start getting anxious because we're like, oh my God, now I'm only gonna get 4 hours of sleep. We're only gonna get 3 hours of sleep. I'm not gonna be able to do what I need to do tomorrow. And anxiety starts to kick in. So the two often work so closely together. So good sleep is important. I put the Serenity oil there because we'll use that in the diffuser. I'll also use copaiba in the diffuser and or balance or adaptive. The Serenity stick is by far my favorite. So it is like a deodorant stick. It's got valerian root. It smells amazing. It can be used on kids, toddlers, dogs, doesn't matter. Rub it on your wrist. I'll sometimes rub it under my nose. I rub it on my wrist or your hands because I sleep like this. And then you're able to just breathe that in or put it on your chest like Vicks. It's nice if you can do a beautiful, like if you've got children that struggle to sleep, a beautiful foot massage or back massage with any of these products. And then the Serenity Dietary Supplement, the soft gels, they also have essential oils in them and some herbs that help your body. So like L-theanine and tart cherry to help your body naturally produce melatonin. We don't want to be taking melatonin. That's a whole other topic, but we don't be taking melatonin because then our body stops producing it. We want our body to just learn how to produce more and the right amount so we actually can get into that REM sleep. So the Serenity Soft Gel capsules will help you with that. How do you know what to take? Well, the reality is if it's more the stress side, you go adaptive. If it's more like I just can't shut down my mind, it's more the Serenity. Sometimes people take both because the two are so connected, or they'll take adaptive about an hour before bed and then the Serenity capsule just before they go to sleep. Now, you don't have to take these nightly. If you do wake up in the middle of the night and you're overwhelmed, you had a nightmare, you could take adaptive. Or you could take Serenity to put you back to sleep. You're not going to end up groggy the next morning. It doesn't matter if you only sleep 2 more hours, you're good. It's getting your body into that natural state, which is what we want. Talked about that one. And then we've got nutrition and digestion. So I'm just going to touch on this a tiny bit. I actually need to add our new supplement into here as well. But if we're looking at our world does not give us the nutrition that we need anymore. And so we're starting off our days undernourished with a lack of minerals, a lack of vitamins, and then we often don't get enough omegas, and omegas help function our brain especially, but our body too. Think of it like the oil in your car. If you have no oil in your car, it's going to die and break down. If it's running low, it gets a little sluggish. That's how the omegas work in our body. So this beautiful smart supplementation, whether it's our VMG, which I can talk to you about as well, it's a drink if you don't like taking pills, or the lifelong vitality helps you kick off that. I will tell you that a lot of people, once they deal with this and their gut issues, they don't need to take as many of the other oils because they're not as stressed. Then you're only using them on like a, you know, basis when you're knowing that something's going on, or you're just like, you've had one of those days instead. We also can't say just take oils or just take supplements and don't worry about anything else. You do need to eat right. Like you do need, if you just fuel your body with junk food and processed food, you're going to feel like crap. Putting crap in your body, you're going to feel like crap. So you need to balance that out. It's not saying you need to be perfect. And with all of these things, I'm not perfect. I teach about this all the time, and I still find some days that I'm like, this girl needs to get in the bath mid-afternoon because I can feel my cortisol, my adrenal levels just like not, they're firing more than they should be. So when you become aware of those feelings and you get to know kind of where your body's sitting, it's easy to be able to pull out those tools before it gets too bad. Here's just some recipes. Again, if we're looking at some of the symptoms, there's some oils for adrenal fatigue that you can use because you know that you're already in that space. You're like, yeah, Amanda, I took this way too far. I am like maxed out. We're going to need to do some extra supports, right? Then you get into that maintenance mode of like, hey, I can just use an adaptive capsule here and there. And then our immune system, especially when we're in the winter months, we need to be supporting that immune system even more. So our body, when it's stressed, it doesn't just burn out and die. So there's some really easy things to be able to support your immune system with. If you are someone that would like to order and you're like, okay, I know what I want, I've got a list already, I still say to connect with me first because I might be able to like pair things together and help you find a better deal. But there's the Canadian resident link and your US resident link. If you are from Europe or anywhere else in the world, I can get you a link as well. And then just a couple little last things. Make sure that when you do purchase, so if you don't align with me and you're like, I don't really like her vibe, like I don't like how she taught, it's not my jam, that's okay. Find someone that does because you're going to be working with that person. That person's going to support you on your journey. So if you're struggling and you're using the adaptive capsules and they're not cutting it, you're going to be reaching out and you're going to be going through everything. We're going to be setting up what a protocol looks like. If you are someone that's been stressed out to the max, don't think in, 2 days of taking the oils or the supplements, you're gonna be like, whoa, I'm automatically just better and I'm doing nothing else. No, there's going to be some tweaks and some things that we're going to work through for like a 30, 60, 90-day plan. And so we're going to go through that, provide you with more education, and then you're going to get the discounts on everything that you purchase. The last thing that I tell people about is share your story. So many of us have used these products and they've changed our lives and they've changed family members' lives. And I think sometimes we get afraid to share stories about natural health products that have worked because sometimes some people shut us down. And so I want to share, even if you just want to share it with me and I can share them, but you're going to live the lifestyle. You're going to start to incorporate in some things, see how easy it is because we're going to teach you. And then I want you to just think about sharing. And you don't have to do it for any money, but know that there's money that you can get paid that pay for your products. And then if you're someone that's like, I've got a story to share. I want to be able to teach people. I want to be able to work with people and help them heal themselves, whether it be with stress, anxiety, overwhelm, or any other aspect of natural health. There is a way. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years and I replaced my income in about 6 months. There's ways to do it. And I've got automated systems and you have access to all these classes. So please know that those opportunities are there and we would love for you to join and help us in this journey. So here is my information again. Feel free to follow me. There's a 1-minute survey for just extra health tips to be able to get different ebooks as well. Have a great day and we'll see you later.